Reddit AskReddit by Joy of Reddit. What really obvious thing have you only just realized? I recently realized I was allergic to carrots. I just thought they made everyone's mouth numb. You know, just like almonds. I also learned recently that I have an almond allergy. Same here. Thought that raw hazelnuts don't taste good because they give this weird tingle in your mouth. Found out I had a nut allergy when it suddenly turned from tingle to anaphylaxis and I ended up in pain in the ISL for eating nut chocolate. Super embarrassing, but in college I would order rum and cokes because I heard everyone else ordering the same. Turns out I misheard everyone and found out it was just rum and coke. A rum and coke does sound like a great drink though. Mix equal parts rum and cola, pour over ice and serve. Just like the ancient Romans did. Except the Romans used lead cups. Valve released Steam. It took me a long time to realize the pun. Goddamn. My favorite along these lines was the old CD burning software, Nero. Short for Nero burning ROM. That the division symbol is just a blank fraction with dots replacing the numerator and denominator. Well hell, all of these I read in this. This one got me. Mind you, I teach elementary school. Thank your lucky stars I don't teach math. Percent symbol 2%. Stop, I can't handle much more. That Jessica Rabbit is not a rabbit, but took Roger Rabbit's last name. On a similar vein, as a child I was confused as to why Mary, Kate, and Asha Fliffy were referred to as the Olsen twins and why ads on TV only ever showed two of them at a time. And then 16-year-old me found out about Mary Kate. John Oliver would like a word with you. This is going to make me seem dumb as hell, but I recently realized why pickles don't ever come fresh. Edit. I'd like to thank my parents for never telling me and the American education system for failing me. Maybe not the way you're playing with them. They do. But when fresh they are generally called cucumbers. I live in a part of Chicago called Greektown for 8 years and never realized the blue and white Christmas lights were meant to represent the colors on their flag. It just dawned on me today. I think Chancellor Palpatine is a Sith Lord. I live in Denmark, so English is not my native language, and I just realized that weekend means the end of the week. The odd thing is that in the US, our calendars are arranged Sunday to Saturday. So it's sort of the weekend. But it's also the week beginning. It was a bit of a surprise when I moved to Denmark and saw calendars arranged Monday to Sunday. One weekends, like bookends. The first time I visited the USA I was on my own and in New York and going to all the museums. I kept seeing signs that said, no strollers, and thought, because we call strollers prams in the UK, that you guys are super strict about the proper amount of attention required to visit a museum. I actually pretended to show more interest than I had in order not to be thought of as some deadbeat out for a casual stroll. It wasn't until about day 3 that I saw a no strollers sign that included a graphic for idiots. I'm a Brit who got sucked into a holiday job doing door-to-door sales for a MLM company in the US. All the doors with signs saying no solicitors confused me. As I was neither an attorney or a rent boy, I figured I was in the clear. Fortunately, the local police took an afternoon out of my day to explain. I thought astigmatism was astigmatism, so I thought you could have two stigmatisms. And I confused stigmatism with both stigma and stigmata. The Grammys are called that because the awards are gramophones. Ooh. Now everything has sense now. That big ship's wheel I got to turn as a kid was not actually controlling the cruise ship. When the kids catch their mom kissing Santa Claus, it is because Santa is their dad dressed up. Not because Santa and Mom have a once-yearly torrid affair. Yeah, I just realized this like last year, lol. I just never rethought my understanding of it from being a kid. When I was little we had an Australian Shepherd named Sydney. I didn't understand why her name was Sydney until 18 years later. I named my American Eskimo Juno. You have an Eskimo? He has an American. I learned that allspice is actually one spice and not a blend of spices containing cinnamon and nutmeg. And tasting it doesn't help disprove that theory. For the longest time, I always thought prima donna was prima donna. Me too. My mother would call me that and I thought she meant I was going to be a whore. When I was a kid my mom told me my rabbit Rosie went to live on a farm. In my early 20s I saw an episode of The Sopranos where everyone makes fun of Tony when he realizes his dog didn't really go to live on a farm. That's when I realized Rosie had not gone to a farm either. Edit. I would like to officially apologize for the cascading wave of terrible realizations my post has caused. Truly we sit on thrones of lies. If it makes you feel any better, I lived on a farm as a kid and took in 2 rabbits. One of my mom's friends was sick of her kids having rabbits. So I got them. They lived a good life. I used to bring them all of the butt ends of any vegetables my mom chopped up, and I gave them a lot of ice cubes in the summer. They didn't like to be patted, but they seemed to like it when I read to them. For a long time I thought to bust a nut meant that you were going to kick a guy in the balls or beat him up, so anytime I was getting worked up or angry talking about some guy I would say I'm going to bust his fucking nut, not knowing the real meaning. Nobody ever said anything, but it was always followed by my friends laughing, so I assumed it was because I was being dramatic. Years go by and my coworker is telling me about some rude person he met, and I said, "You should definitely bust that guy's nut." To which he paused and said, "Do you even know what that means?" Suffice it to say I was extremely embarrassed and horrified when he explained it to me. I had a boss that was under the impression that bust a nut meant to work extremely hard. Suffice to say our team meeting ended awkwardly when Sean would tell all of us to go bust a nut after the meeting. The houses in Bikini Bottom are car mufflers, what the fuck? And Patrick is dumb and knows nothing because he lives under a rock. That to take off the plastic piece on top of deodorant you just simply twist the bottom a few times. No, I must bite. As for why I bite it, it is best described as primal urge that manifested in early adolescence, when I had weaker hands but first needed deodorant. Since then it's just never occurred to me to do something else. It's fun. I'd recommend it. That's what I've been doing for years. That Michelangelo's David is David from David and Goliath. How did I not know this? I thought it was just dude called Dave. On a similar note, I'm 37 and only realized a few years ago that the David and Goliath David is the same David as King David in the Bible. Obviously not raised in church. My grandpa used to ask me when I was a kid if I could talk without moving my lips. Being a dumbass kid I would always give it my best effort, and thought I was pretty good at it. 20 years later I realized the old bugger was just telling me to shut the fuck up, haha. Too bad I can't let him know I finally figured it out. I'm 30 and I realized a few months ago that howdy is cowboy for how do you do. That they put measurement stickers next to gas station doors so if a robber is running out of the store you can get a better estimate of their height. I always thought they were just there for something fun to do on road trip stops. More than that, they're not actually accurate if you stand against them and measure that way. They're supposed to be placed so the camera will show the correct height of the person, compensating for the angle of the camera. Not me, but my sister asked me about 2.5 months ago when we were watching John Wick 3 during the desert scene. She asked me if they were real and I asked if what were real and she said sandlands and I busted out laughing so goddamn hard and said, "You mean deserts?" Yes, they're real. Thinking about it right now got me laughing. I think we should start a petition to change the word to sandlands though. It's pretty good. Oh, you want a freaking doozy? For years, I did not realize it was Mike Myers playing both Austin Powers and Dr. Evil. I don't know how I missed it, but it never twigged that it was the same actor. Felt like a right royal twat when that was pointed out to me. Thank you for being with me on that. I had seen the movie so many times before knowing he also played Fat Bastard. That parents of children write letters to Santa so they can figure out what to buy them for Christmas. I can't believe how I never put that together after 32 years on this earth. I just thought it was fun little tradition. In Sweden we put those letters in the postbox with mail headed to the North Pole. It's called a department store because there are, wait for it, separate departments within the one store. I had a sudden clarity clearance moment with that one recently. I only just realized this when I read this, so thanks for the comment. I'm in my 50s. I grew up in a rural area north of New York City. I'm a veteran. I'm reasonably intelligent, reasonably well-traveled. I've been hearing and repeating this expression on and off for all of my life. Friend/acquaintance 1, hey, man, see you soon. Friend/acquaintance 2, not if I see you first. Smirk. It's just within the last few years that I realized that's almost always joking. Kind jab at friend/acquaintance 1. It was so ritualized as a way to say goodnight to a buddy, that it never occurred to me that it meant that the friend would choose to avoid the other person. I knew a woman who told a story about how she was attending a family gathering and when her dad arrived she said to him as she walked up to give him a hug, "Hey there, is that a banana in your pocket or are you just happy to see me?" Everybody in the room just looked at her in shock and then burst out laughing. She had heard the expression but just never thought about what it meant, so she thought it was just a quirky way to say hello, lol. I didn't know the characters on Family Guy had accents. Live in New England watching with my wife, not from here, and she says, "Wow, they really nailed the accents." I say, "What accents?" Blew my mind when she explained not everyone talks like that, Amau. People keep praising the latest Spider-Man for his accurate Queen's accent but I don't hear it. That the Houston Astros name comes from astronauts, and the Baltimore Ravens are because Edgar Allan Poe lived and is buried in Baltimore. Today the radio taught me Mariah Carey wrote and sang All I Want for Christmas Is You. All this time I thought it was just a cover that she did so well. People loved it more than the original. Turns out it is the original. Oh dear, this makes me feel old as fuck. Because I remember when that song was new. Cruella de Vil was a cruel devil. The word for explorer in Spanish is exploradora. Dora the Explorer, a Spanish play in words. The only person who didn't think I had a drinking problem was me. A car accident resulting in a DUI and court-mandated rehab shined that light on me. Luckily I found out before I killed someone or myself. I've been almost a year clean and feel pretty okay. I had the car a week and had been saving for it for a year. So basically threw away a year's worth of saved money. And my insurance was bare minimum, so it was a total loss. The villain in Halloween is not played by Michael Myers. Get out of my swamp or I'm gonna murder ya. Principal Belding from Saved by the Bell is named Belding. It called Men's Warehouse and not Men's Warehouse. It's been a couple years since I realized this and I just think that's a clever name. What the fuck, I just looked it up and I still don't believe you. Saw a place labeled as Public House when I moved nearby recently. It was at that moment I realized, oh, that's why they call them pubs. It's short for public house. In Russian phrase public house means a whorehouse. Not a pub. I wonder. Personal injury lawyer commercials play more frequently during daytime TV because their clientele is injured, stuck at home, and watching daytime TV. I always thought you can't have your cake and eat it. Too was a weird saying because why wouldn't I be able to eat my freaking slice of cake? It's my cake. Nobody was telling me that I can't have my cake. Turns out they mean you can eat the cake while also still retaining it. Once it is eaten, it is gone. An idiom I did not understand until this year. I am 27. The Italian version of this is you can't have a full bottle and a drunk wife or something along those lines. Phineas and Ferb are shaped like a P and an F. Oh. The reason the cord hook on the vacuum spins is so you can take the whole cord off at once instead of unraveling it one loop at a time. Like I have been my whole life, and if you wind it up as a figure 8 between the two hooks. When you turn the hook down and take off the whole cord, it won't get tangled up as you vacuum. My mom used to make my sisters and I belly buttons for dinner. I was 27 when I realized that they were actually tortellini. But she knew we were dumb kids and would refuse something named so strange even though they were delicious. Edit because people are still seeing this apparently. Once she was making fried shrimp for dinner. My sisters and I hated fried shrimp but we loved popcorn shrimp from Long John Silver's. We complained so my mom said okay. Go away and I'll make you some popcorn shrimp instead. We left and she says she took half the shrimp she was already using and cut it in two and then fried it that way. We cleaned the friggin' bowl. We were dumb kids and she was a good, smart mom. I think I would have been more freaked out about eating cooked belly buttons. I realized that to be in one's birthday suit it means to be without clothes. I thought for the longest time it was a specific set of clothes you would wear on your birthday each year. I found out when I asked, what happens when you don't fit in your birthday suit anymore? Lol, stretch marks happen. Shoot, I gotta go serve justice. Thanks for listening. If I sparked joy, hit me with a like and subscribe. I make new videos every day. Till then, check out another video or leave a comment. I love you. Have a great day, you wonderfully gorgeous person.